And for you to call something gold plated, the layer of gold needs to be at minimum 0.5 microns. I don't know if you're familiar with microns, but it's very little, basically. Hello, so we're back with a new video. I hope you're proud of me because I managed to release 2 videos in the same week. I don't know if that's gonna be like that often, but you know, let's appreciate the moment. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about my new obsession with jewelry. I used to not be really into that actually. When I was younger, I didn't care too much for jewelry. I think maybe every so often there would be a new trend at school and I would be like, oh, that's nice. But like my mom wouldn't buy me stuff because it was trendy. So, you know. However, my grandma was probably the person who influenced me the most in terms of how I feel about fashion. And, you know, as a Caribbean woman, she always told me that like she loved her gold. She loved her solid gold. And she was firmly against getting anything plated. She wanted the solid, she wanted the real thing. So as I was growing up and asking her about jewelry and all that, she told me, yeah, plated stuff is not good. It's not gonna last. It's crap, basically. It's bad, it's cheap, and it doesn't have any value. But I did not look into it. Actually, yeah, I think as a child, I received a few silver pieces. Maybe I got some gold every so often because, you know, aunts and grandmas always, you know, give these kind of things that you're supposed to give for your whole life, but eventually you lose because you're playing outside or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, right now I don't have that many solid gold items in my possession. I have no idea if they were lost or if they are at my mom's. I do not know. But yeah, so last year I started getting interested. And so I thought I would go for a sustainable option because I didn't want to participate into fast fashion. But the thing is, I was coming from this background of thinking that anything that was not solid silver or solid gold was not good. And the issue is, well, when you look at this type of jewelry, it's actually very expensive. I'd say that silver is actually on the affordable end, depending on what you're looking at. But gold is for sure very, very expensive, and I couldn't afford it. So I started looking into my other options. And then, you know how Instagram gets you? The minute you start looking for something on Google, on Instagram you start getting all the publicity. Like, it's terrible. It's actually terrible because then it's like all this information is coming at you. Oh, so there's this store and this store and this store. But most of the time I'd say it's really bad. Like most of the time the recommendations are for fast fashion, not very well made options, but usually affordable. The thing is, then I was like, okay, I noticed all of these stores are offering the same thing. They're offering me gold plated jewelry. From that point, I started looking at all these stores. I was looking basically for ethical stores or vintage options. And so the first thing I found was the vintage options. And the thing is, the issue I had with that was that most vintage sellers could not give me enough information about their products. It's like, yeah, it's gold plated, but like, do you know what's the thickness of the gold layer? You know, like basically you don't know because they don't know, like they didn't make it, they probably just got it from another seller or something, and so they're selling it to you, but they don't have all the information about the product. And so I was like, yeah, but it looks good, but what if it's really bad quality, you know? So I was like, okay, I need to inform myself. I need to understand what exactly are those things. What is gold-plated jewelry? What is the difference between the different type of gold-plated jewelry? Because I was suddenly overwhelmed with all those terms and all the different prices, and I really needed to make sense of that. So yeah, the first thing I realized is that gold-plated means literally anything. What is gold-plated basically? Gold-plated jewelry is basically a jewelry piece that's made of brass or copper, and that's covered with a thin, very thin layer of gold. And this gold can be of any type. It doesn't even need to be, there is no minimum basically. So you can have very, very cheap gold or more expensive gold. You can have 10 carats or 24 carats or 6 carats, I guess. Like, you know, you can have anything. And for you to call something gold-plated, the layer of gold needs to be at minimum 0.5 microns. So I don't know if you're familiar with microns, but it's very little, basically. It's very little, it's very thin. And most of the time, when like any brand, like, you know, when anybody has a minimum to respect to call something, most people won't go over that. Like basically, if the minimum to call your stuff gold-plated is 0.5, why would you put 1 micron, you know? So if you want higher quality or whatever, you will, but you don't have to. And so knowing that, I understood also why some of my gold-plated, let's say, chokers didn't last long. So knowing what that means, knowing that basically gold-plated means literally anything, I realized that I couldn't just trust any website that would say we're selling that. And so then I looked a little bit deeper and I discovered the concept of gold vermeil, for example, and gold field. So basically, gold vermeil, to keep going with the first definition of gold-plated, gold vermeil is also gold-plated. However, the base metal is silver. So I believe it can be sterling silver or pure silver. It depends. I think sterling silver is like 92.5% silver and the rest is like other metals. And pure silver might be like something like 99% or something. It's not, I don't believe it's 100%, and it's very, very soft. So I would say I don't really recommend going for that if you're gonna wear something, you know, very often. I mean, I'm talking about just gold, pure silver. But for gold vermeil, I think most of the time it's gonna be sterling silver plated with a thicker layer of gold. So it's still gonna be thin. It's still gold-plated, but it's much thicker than a regular gold-plated piece, because if the minimum for gold-plated is 0.5 microns, for gold vermeil it's going to be 2.5 microns, which is 5 times thicker, basically. So already you have a better quality going for gold vermeil. Now, gold vermeil is more expensive, obviously, most of the time. But I'd say at least you're quite guaranteed to have a jewelry piece that's not gonna turn green or black, you know, like it just sounds better already. So I saw that and I was like, oh, okay. That sounds nice, because gold vermeil is significantly cheaper than solid gold. And then came the notion of gold fields. So then I was like, okay, like what's better? Because if you have gold vermeil, which is supposed to be quite fancy, or like what is gold field? And gold field basically is supposed to be again, the base is like brass or copper, but the layer of gold is much thicker than regular gold plated jewelry. So it's supposed to be at least 100 times thicker. So just that, like when you see that gold vermeil is at minima 5 times thicker, but also, you know, it's silver inside. But hearing that gold field is like 100 times thicker than regular gold plated, and also thicker than gold vermeil, I guess, it seemed that could be some kind of equivalent in terms of durability. I guess if what you want is gold, like gold field jewelry seemed like a very good option, because you're getting as much gold as you could for a cheaper price than solid gold, if that makes sense. Now for sure, the issue is you need to, I mean, it's like for anything, like different companies will have different quality and all that. So yeah, you still have to do your research, but that was already a good start for me to understand the concept of basically all this cheaper jewelry that looked fancy. Alright guys, so I was considering showing you my regular rotation when it comes to jewelry in this video, but I think that's gonna be too much information. I already talked a lot, so I hope this was informative. In the next video, I will review some of my jewelry pieces. Most of them I got in the past 6 months, at least when it comes to my regular rotation. I will not obviously show you all my jewelry, but I think the ones I wear the most, the one I love the most as well, I might show you. Let me know if that's something you'd like. I'll do it anyway, but you know, it doesn't hurt. So yeah, I love my jewelry, and I think I'll talk about it again in the next video. Bye.